So we are providing a quick update to you regarding this evening's weather event, as well as the Streets Department's response. We've got Kent Flake here from Streets Department, our Streets Commissioner. So Kent, I'll let you go ahead and get started, and we'll take a few questions afterwards.
All right, thank you, Nick. My name's Kent Flake, Commissioner of Streets, City of St. Louis. Tonight's weather sounds like it's going to start as a light rain between about 10 and midnight, somewhere in there transitioning over to a very wet snow, and continuing to around somewhere around 10 a.m. tomorrow till the storm loses kind of its gas, I guess, and ends up flurrying off and on till somewhere between 4 and 6 p.m. The good thing is that temps look like they're going to be mostly above freezing during most of this storm. There'll be a little question on ground and air temps this evening, between like 4 and 6 a.m., but looks like ground temps should stay above freezing throughout the entirety until Wednesday night, when it looks like it's going to drop down about 27 by 6 a.m. Thursday morning. So this should just be a very slushy snow accumulation, one that you typically see a lot more snow on grass and yards versus roads. I really believe once we get out there and get the roads open, with the warm air temp and warm ground temps, that it should melt most of everything away off the road surfaces themselves. Obviously, that can all change if the forecast changes. Right now, I've seen forecast anywhere from 4 to about 8 inches. Looks like we're going to be probably around the 4 to 6 inch range here in the city of St. Louis. We will have about 30-35 trucks on the road starting at midnight tonight. Second shift will come in at noon tomorrow to do any and all mop up that's needed, and hopefully by midnight Wednesday night, we're able to put this storm to bed. Hopefully by about noon tomorrow, we should have mostly clear road surfaces. I really don't see slickness being an issue at this point. Like I said, I think it's going to be more of a slushy kind of storm. We kind of equate this to like a March snow, which we're pretty familiar with around St. Louis. With that being said, I already mentioned what times our crews will be out. For the most part, I don't see us probably using much salt except on maybe some hills and bridges, just to keep a little melting effect out there. With ground and air temps being so warm, especially during the day tomorrow, I think once we get it pushed out of the way, like I said, I think everything should just melt on its own once it stops snowing. And there's some pretty significant snow volumes in this, as far as I think a ½ inch an hour is what I'm kind of seeing. So pavements will continue to be overcome by slushy, wet snow. But I think as soon as we get that plowed out of the way, you should have a very good driving surface. Obviously, this is going to be way different than the last storm we had, when we had -5, -6, -7 degree temps, where it was a 100% chemical storm on our side as far as fighting it. I really think this one's going to be a 90+% plow down, very little chemical used in order to get through this one. It's a big difference between the December storm and this one, but we're very used to fighting storms like this. We've had some pretty significant wet storms in the past, or wet slushy snowstorms in the past, so we're very familiar with fighting this one. That last one where we had -5, 6, 7 degrees out there, that was not something we were used to. Some of you guys did interviews with me before that one, and usually I'm fairly confident. This one I'm definitely confident in. that last one, I definitely had some reluctancy to be very optimistic on fighting a snowstorm at -degrees. We're not used to that. In short, I think that's about all I have.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Mark, go right ahead. We'll turn over to Greg from Spectrum.
Hi, what you mentioned you're staffing 30 to 35 trucks. Are you short any drivers? Is that making you make any changes as far as the priorities go? How's your staffing?
Our staffing, we're still down. Most everybody's heard me say this over the last 2 years. We're down about 40% on staffing in general at the street division and street department. With this storm, I mean, it's going to take us a little bit longer to get control of it. We'd like to be out there. We typically have 6, 7, 8 trucks per station. We have 5 stations in the city, so you're talking 40 drivers typically. It just slows our response down. Other than that, I don't see it being an issue with this storm at all. The biggest thing for us on this one, especially your main drags, is to get out there and get them as clean, or once it stops snowing, to get 2, 3 plow trucks together, get all the snow off the road surface itself, so then people can drive. So staffing is low, but we've been working with the Department of Personnel here for the last, well, essentially 2 years, but we've been working with them really hard here over the last 3 to 6 months in order to get people in. And luckily here in 2 weeks, I think I've got about 10 guys starting. So that's good.
Looks like Mark dropped his question in the chat. Is the timing a bit of a challenge with the heaviest snow continuing right into the beginning of the morning commute? Is it correct that the morning will be slow and messy?
I believe that's correct. I mean, the good thing is, like I mentioned earlier, is I don't see this being a real issue of slickness. We've had this type of snow before. It's just going to be slushy, kind of mucky commute to work tomorrow. Really, and at that point, morning rush is when we're going to be seeing those half-inch an hour plus snows, which is always pretty significant. But so yeah, it will certainly affect morning rush. The good thing is it does start at 2 a.m. Our crews will be out there. We always try to get out, our incoming roads. So anything coming into the city that's a major thoroughfare, we always try to get those, at least the incoming side, plowed before rush hour. Once rush hour hits, we try to, depending on the storm and how many people are actually on the roadways, if everybody decides to come to work tomorrow, we usually kind of sit back between 6 and 7:30, 6 and 8, to let as many people get in as possible, so we're not having to dodge people going to work and vice versa. So they're not trying to dodge us either. So yeah, we should have a good 5-6 hours of plowing before rush. Once 7:30, 8 o'clock hits, we'll be right back out there, widening, opening everything that we can open. And it'll be kind of the same thing tomorrow afternoon. Anything that we don't have open, we'll try to get that as open as we can on the outgoing routes prior to 2:30, 3 o'clock. So we can provide it the best access we can. Obviously, we've got 450 miles of road that we've got to clear. We always do that based on our tiered response, where we do the major roads first, secondaries second, and then we break down to some hill routes and some smaller streets after that. But I really don't see, it's going to be slushy. As long as people take their time and have a little confidence in what they're doing, there shouldn't be any problems out there.
Thank you, Kent. Any other questions? Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us for this brief update. If you need a copy of the recording, please feel free to shoot me an email and let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day and stay safe out there. Thanks all.
Thank you.